Thank you very much. It's a real privilege to be here today with you on the International Day of Human Rights to address this important session on achieving gender equality in national laws. I know I might be preaching the choir, but again, uh, the issue we are discussing today, it is a right. It's not a privilege. And please let this sink in for a moment. Now, for Egypt journey, reforming nationality laws, it reflects a broader struggle for equality and justice, one that addresses the rights of women and children together. Nationality is more than just a legal recognition, as we all know. It's about dignity, security, and opportunity. It's about ensuring that no woman is marginalized, no child is left stateless. So every child can be heard and seen. Without nationality, virtually children doesn't exist. They have no access to vaccination or subsidized baby formula or education. And every family have the right to be able to thrive. And for the nations, it's essential to unlock its potential by empowering and protecting the most vulnerable among us, thus achieving societal stability and prosperity. Today, I'll talk with you about the history of the nationality law in Egypt. And the reason is to tell you that it doesn't happen overnight and takes a lot of time and effort. And the very foundation of the human rights, nationality rights, uh, based on two important pieces of international law. The article number 15 from the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, and Article 7 of the Convention on the Rights of Children. Now, moving from this very basic foundation, because I don't think any country in the world didn't agree or ratify these two pieces of international law. Over 100 years ago, in 1919, there was the 1919 revolution in Egypt. That were the very first time the women played a critical role in protests and lead the national and participate in the national movement. This activism laid foundation of women to demand its political and social right. We are talking about 1919. Now, move forward to 1956. In 1956 was the first time women granted the right to vote and to assume the office. All these years, there was struggle and all kind of activisms that you can imagine. Now, the first legislation with regard the nationality issue was also in 1956. But it's excluded Egyptian women from transferring its nationality to their children or of foreigner spouses, placing a burden on citizenship entirely on the father. Moving from 1956 to 1975, they codified this discrimination, denying nationality to thousands of children born to Egyptian mothers. The impact was devastating. Women were marginalized and without legal agency, while children were left stateless, excluded from children and healthcare. In 1975, there was more comprehensive legislation for the nationality. But again, it kept the status quo as it was since 1956, that women doesn't have any right to confer its nationality to her children from a foreigner father. And move forward to 2004. During all this year, in every parliamentary cycle, there were amendments being put forward to amend the law, to grant the women its right. In 2004, finally, we will be able to recognize the injustice of the past laws, enacted law in 2004 with landmark amendments, transform nationality rights for women and children. The key changes that took place, the Egyptian women gained the right to confer nationality to their children regardless of their father's nationality. These were empowered women as equal parents in the family, in the national life, breaking down barriers of discrimination. The reform acknowledged women equal role as citizens, ensuring their ability to protect and support their families. The impact on children that there were over 20,000 child of Egyptian mothers and non-Egyptian father acquired nationality, gained access to education, healthcare, and legal protection. Thousands of families were reintegrated into society, breaking cycles of exclusion and poverty. But this didn't stop there. In 2008, there were amendments to the child law where the birth registration was given to the mothers. They can have the right to register their children without the consent of father, without any other thing. She has every right to do that. Also, when it comes to the foundlings, there were amendments for that, for any foundling in Egypt to get birth certificate and to be able to get the nationality, regardless whoever their parents are. In 2000, after 2011, 2013, the revolutions that took place in Egypt, there were more amendments with regard to the procedures itself, simplifying the procedures of birth registration and conferring nationality, easing up and breaking down the bureaucratic barriers. Yet the good thing happened in 2014. And this could show you the progress that's taking place, and you just don't get, tired of keep working to get there. This right, which was a demand back in 1956 and 1957 and took 25 years to be enacted in a law, was stated in the Constitution. So it became a constitutional right. No one can ever change it. If it's in a piece of legislation, it could be amended or removed or whatever. It became a piece of the Egyptian Constitution in 2014. And this, again, it's about the evolution of the legislative process itself. So we got a bunch of articles in the Egyptian Constitution focusing solely in the protection of women and children, and clearly articulating and stating the right to the nationality. It says in the Article 6, nationality is a right to everyone born to an Egyptian father or an Egyptian mother, and legal recognition through official papers proving his or her personal data is a right granted and regulated by law. Article 11, and let's also look at the numbering of the articles, because it gives you a clear view of the mindset of the legislation. Article 11 in the Egyptian Constitution: the state shall ensure the achievement of equality between women and men in all civil, political, economic, social, cultural rights in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. In Article 80, it went to anyone under the age of 18 shall be considered a child. Each child shall have the right to a name, identity documents, free compulsory vaccination, health and family or alternative care, basic nutrition, safe shelter, religious education, and emotional and cognitive development. These are constitutional rights. When the first legislation was issued to protect children in Egypt, it was 1996. And it raised all kinds of controversies that you can ever imagine, and all kinds of resistance that you can imagine. And there were a lot of societal resistance. There was a lot of lack of implementation. Then 2008, it was amended to ensure the right for birth registration. And that didn't come also in vacuum. It came after a lot of resistance and a lot of effort that advocacy took place by the civil society to give everyone right. Now, after these years, it became a constitutional right. And this is something really important and something now it's there. No one can take that right from everyone. In Article 93, and I believe this is a very important part. It says that the state shall be bound with the international human rights agreements, conventions, and conventions ratified by Egypt, and which shall have the force of law after publication and in accordance to prescribed conditions. So, in conclusion, this is the evolution of how we moved from just a bunch of women in 1919 participating in the revolution and be looked upon and frowned upon in a very bad way, to continue struggling until 1956 to be able to gain the right to vote, to gain the right to run to the office. And now we have these rights all enacted in the Constitution, which are constitutional rights. This didn't happen again in vacuum. It took a lot of effort from women, from advocacy groups, from civil society, from government, and there were a political right, and it goes hand in hand with the advancement of the society itself. So legislations alone doesn't work because sometimes you have lack of implementation. Advocacy alone doesn't work. We have to work all together and understand the nature of the society and work hand in hand to improve the situation and understand the societal needs and the needs of the people. Thank you very much. I took a bit long. I'm sorry.